It's Kevin with Earth 2 Mastery, and tonight we try to take over the world. So I've got some information for you here. This is a little bit of a tip. I bought Grande Comore earlier today in Comoros, and it was still Class 1. So that might be the last Class 1. I don't know. I keep finding new ones, but it was overpriced for what you would expect to see Class 1 tiles. It was about 50 cents a tile. I don't know if by the time you see this video, it'll still be Class 1, but if you're looking for it, that's where it's at. Okay, today I want to talk to you about which resources are going to be available for us initially on Earth 2. First things first, if you do decide to buy some of this Grande Comore, please go down to my description and get my code. If you use my code, leave your code down below and also like the video. I will choose from those codes to make purchases with next time I make purchases. I was able to use two people's codes today. I'll announce those at the end of the video, so stick around. I've got a megacryptopolis pulled up here so that we can get an idea of the types of resources that they are using. Their site is a little bit slow right now, and so I'm not able to pull up the actual values for the resources right now. I've seen them before. But we have energy. So somebody was asking me if it was a great idea that they had bought on a dam. Well, you know, if they leave the dam, because the devs have said that there may be some structures that are left, but they didn't want to give people a clue as to what those were because they didn't want to give an unfair advantage. But think about how much a dam changes the landscape, right? Like it changes the water flow, and it creates lakes, and it creates, and it directs the flow, and it also influences the landscape right next to it where it's built. So I wouldn't be surprised if a dam is left there. If it is, maybe you'll get some energy thrown off of that. I don't know. Probably some water if you're controlling the water, right? So we were talking the other day about what you may be able to build on water. Well, look, maybe it'll just spawn water. Maybe water will be a resource for you. I would expect that rivers and lakes would be preferential to ocean in that regard because the ocean's salt water. And so if they follow our natural rules, you're not going to be able to drink salt water. Wood. So timberland is obviously going to be, you know, assuming that we follow this same kind of roadmap here, timberland is going to be valuable. We were talking the other day about desert land. Here, sand is a resource. I think they're using it to build concrete. So they're using these materials probably to produce other materials. And that's what our devs have said too, is that there's going to be hundreds of buildings or hundreds of structures that can lead to resource generation. So what do you think? You have to mine the sand, you have to melt it down into glass, you have to mix it with lime or coral to get concrete. So you start thinking about how you combine all these resources and the processing plants that it's going to take to create these resources, and it starts making a lot of sense as to which resources are going to be available to us. Metal, so clearly areas with iron mines, iron ore mines, who knows, maybe initially they just take any kind of metal mining and turn it into metal for building. You know, and then later maybe you can use those metals for other things. So like I have titanium mine property, I have gold mine property. Maybe it won't be that they're valuable necessarily for the specific metal that they have, but maybe it'll just throw off metal resources. I'm not really sure. Stone. So Masters United, we started in Kasha, and remember granite was one of the resources in that area. So hopefully we get stone to build our strongholds with. Brick, I'm assuming that you probably grind down, well, maybe you can turn concrete into brick, or maybe you have to get clay somehow and then mix it with water to make brick. Glass we talked about. Steel is another type of metal. So probably when you can spawn metal as a resource on your property, then you can turn it into steel by refining it. So these are, if you notice, all of these things that they have here pertain to building materials, right? You can build with all of these things. So clearly their focus is building. And since we are going to be able to build on our land as well, and initially the land is going to be a blank slate, but we're going to build on it, we're probably going to need all of these resources as well. So when you're making your purchases, keep this in mind. And when you're trying to figure out where these things may be available to us. All right. So, also, I have a tip for you. It didn't work out for me. I went around yesterday to a bunch of the early tiles that I had purchased because I figured other people around those areas may have purchased early as well. And then I gave them offers that were more than what they had paid, but were significantly under market value. Nobody acknowledged or accepted any of my bids, but you have to think that perhaps people that bought early, they paid less, and so they may be willing to take less for their properties. So if you start looking in areas that were full early, maybe you can make some offers and get a good deal. Like I said, it didn't work out for me, but that's how real estate in the real world works. You just go around and give people offers. Now, I don't want you scamming people. I don't want you going in there and like changing your offer back and forth and everything, or putting that junk in your title that makes it look like you gave a bigger offer than what you did. But that's how negotiations work. If you start with a low offer, maybe they'll reply with an offer that's a little bit better than what you would be able to get in the marketplace. And then you got yourself a good deal, and they didn't have to worry about listing it in the marketplace. So everybody benefits. Okay, so I've got my two people that I was able to use your codes today. The first one was Paul Farrague. I had told you before that I would use your code because you were chosen in the random selector, but your code didn't work. And so you gave me a good code, so I was able to use that. And Kaylee Thompson, who is our moderator in our Discord, she's done a lot of work over there, and I was really happy. I was waiting for her and Joner to get picked by the random selector, and she was chosen today, so I'm really happy. She deserves a lot more than that, but that's all I can do. I bought over $30 worth of land, both in Grande Comore, Comoros, with those two codes, and it was both Class 1 properties, so I was actually excited to be able to get some Class 1 properties there. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow, and make sure to leave your code down below, and also use my code for your purchases because I really appreciate it when you support the channel. Thank you very much.